For this project, we're going to make a jean pocket pumpkin. I had this pocket left over from some previous DIYs that I did with jeans. I'll link that video down in my description box, but I'm going to put some hot glue on 3 sides of the pocket, and then I'm just going to glue those 2 pieces together. Now this pocket has a Velcro piece that opens the actual pocket, so I just left that together. If you had a regular jean pocket, you could glue that if you wanted to. Then I took some batting and I just filled my pocket with batting, and I'm going to take some more hot glue and seal that top part with some hot glue. Now you could totally sew this if you wanted to. Just remember that jeans require a heavy duty sewing needle, so you need a special needle for that. Then I took one of these sticks that I got from Hobby Lobby in the Christmas section. You get like a package of 24 of them or something like that, but I use them all the time. They're really versatile for lots of different projects. So I glued that into the pocket, and then I took some raffia and I'm just going to glue that just on top of the stick. I didn't wrap it around or anything. If you wanted to tie it off in a bow or a knot there, you could do that too. This was just some leftover pieces that I had. Then I took some ribbon from my stash and I just made an awareness bow, and all that means is you cross it over, glue it in the middle, and then I'm going to add this cute orange button that matches my ribbon, and here it is, styled in some decor. So for this project, we're going to make another jean pumpkin, but this time we're going to take some strips instead of the pockets, and we're just going to cut and tear like I do my fabric and ribbon if you've watched me for a while. It's one of my favorite techniques to give that kind of shabby feel because you get the worn look from ribbon, fabric, and jeans. So then I'm going to add some hot glue, and I'm just going to add the strips around my pumpkin. This would be a really great project to cover one of those Dollar Tree foam pumpkins, the orange ones. I couldn't find any out just yet, and this was the only pumpkin I had in my stash. So this did come from the Dollar Tree though. They're the smaller pumpkins, and this would work for any size pumpkin. I think this is adorable, so I definitely want to make some larger ones when I get out some larger pumpkins in my area. So once you start gluing the strips on, you're going to just want them to overlap. And as you go around, you're going to have a few holes, and that's okay, because once you get all the strips on the majority of your pumpkin, then we're going to go back and fill in the holes. This is a really easy project. You're just going to hot glue and wrap. So here you can see there are some holes. You can take some shorter pieces of the jeans if you want, and you're just going to cover those up with some hot glue as well. And it's just going to go around and fill in any gaps. I took the top of the pumpkin that was part of the original pumpkin, and I'm just going to hot glue it back into the hole that was already there. Once I had that glued in, I took some more ribbon and I tied it into a shoelace bow, and I'm just going to add that to the stem. You could wrap it around if you wanted to. I chose not to, but either way would be super cute. And here it is, styled in some decor. For this project, we're going to make a wood block pumpkin, and this was so easy. I already had this wood block painted for a different project, and so you're just going to take a plain scrap piece of wood, paint it with some white chalk paint, and then these were like a garland of some kind that I got several years ago at Hobby Lobby, but you could also use the little stems that they sell at the Dollar Tree that are like the little wood circles. That would work as well up here at the top. You just need something for a stem. So I glued those 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to glue it to the top, and here is like a super cute pumpkin. You could leave it like this if you wanted to, adding some raffia. I think that would be super cute. But we're going to add a little bit extra here. So I had these left over from last year's window clings from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to use some Mod Podge and glue one of the pumpkin pieces down at the bottom. I did go ahead and let them overlap because I think that's pretty cute. And I love to use window clings, so if you like to use window clings in crafts, I have a whole video where I do some tiered trays with window clings. I will leave that video down in my description box as well. But I took some more leaves that came in that same window cling set, and I'm just going to glue those, again hanging off the sides of the wood block. And then I cut apart some of the words that were also window clings that said Happy Fall, and I just glued those on into the middle of my wood block, and then again another leaf down at the bottom. This is definitely customizable to any window cling set that you might like. I took some more ribbon and some extra jean pieces that I had laying around, and I made a shabby bow. I have to say, this is probably one of my very favorite shabby bows I have ever made. I love the contrast of jeans and the orange and the polka dots. Very cute. But I added a button, and here it is, styled in some decor. For this project, we're going to make a Hello Pumpkin sign, and I combined two stencils here. So I took one of the hellos from the Hello Pumpkin larger sign, and I took the little pumpkin that is at the bottom of that sign and combined them together to make this wood round. I used a navy blue for the dark bottom color, and then the sage or blue color on top, which gives it a really fun contrasted blue color. Then I made a shabby bow just using some fabric and ribbon that I had on hand. My ribbon's from Dollar Tree and my fabric came from Hobby Lobby, and here it is, styled in some decor. I dreamt of a life in a small town that wasn't enough for you somehow. I just wish I had a little more time with you, baby. Weeks and months and years they passed, and I knew it wouldn't last when tears streamed down my... You know what time it is? It's time to hit the like button. So don't forget to go down, hit the like button if you are enjoying today's video, and let's get back to the DIYs. For this project, we're going to make a round pumpkin sign, and I took a wood round that I got from Hobby Lobby. I covered it in some white folk art chalk paint, and then I dry brushed it in a bluish green folk art chalk paint. Then I'm going to take these two colors, and I'm going to use this pumpkin stencil. I used the orange color to do the solid parts, and then the burgundy kind of maroon color to do the stripe parts. It gives it a really fun contrasted color, and I really love these two colors together. Then I took some Hobby Lobby this ribbon came from the Dollar Tree. I made a shabby bow, and then I put some buttons here in the middle, and then here it is, styled in some decor. My mama said, I wish I could freeze this moment, just never let it end. Walking through the snow when you're taking my hand. All of those late nights on your couch when we just talked until midnight. I just wish I could. So for this project, we're going to create a book page pumpkin, and for the first step, we're going to take a piece of paper and we're going to trace out our design. So it just kind of looks like this like two-humped shape. We're then going to fold that in half, and this is going to give us our pumpkin shape when we start cutting out the book. So I'm just going to kind of trim it down a little bit to make sure that it's even on both sides since I drew this freehand, and then I'm going to lay it against the spine of the book. So originally when I started to draw the pattern, I hadn't put it quite up against the spine, but you want it to be up against the spine. So I start using an X-Acto knife to cut this out, and I'm just going along my trace lines. Later on, I decide to go ahead and use a pair of scissors. So if you don't have an X-Acto knife, don't worry, a pair of scissors will work just fine. So you're just going to go along the edges of your pattern that you cut out, and then you're just going to remove the pages, each one as you go along. Then you're going to open the page that you cut and then put your pattern in there again and keep cutting. So you're just going to keep opening and keep cutting until you get to the very end of your book. I picked my book up at Dollar Tree, but you can get books at garage sales, thrift stores, anywhere for pretty cheap. Then I took some of this burnt orange acrylic paint and a paintbrush, and I'm just holding it very tightly together to just do the outer edges of the pumpkin. I kind of wish my book was a little bit thicker because, as you can see later, it takes me a really long time to kind of fluff out my pages. I feel like a thicker book probably would have worked a little bit better in this. So if you're going to recreate this project, I highly recommend like a pretty thick book. So once I have that all painted, I'm going to put some Aleene's tacky glue from Dollar Tree into the spine along with a pencil. And this is how we're going to have the pumpkin stand up. So I took some clips that I also got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to clip that together to give the the glue a little bit of time to dry. Then I'm going to remove my pencil and keep my clips there just to continue to give it the shape. Then I need to fluff out each one of my pages from where we painted because we don't want them to be stuck together. And then this is going to give it a fun kind of painted look, but without them being on every page. Then I picked up these leather leaves at the Dollar Tree, and this stem also came from the Dollar Tree. I got it a couple years ago. Let me know if you guys see them out this year because I'm almost out, and these are like one of my favorite things to decorate fall with. But then you're just going to kind of fluff out your pages after you add your embellishments to the top, and then here it is, styled in some decor.
Turn the tide, let the water go where it wants to go.
For this project, we're going to make a wooden flower pumpkin, and I got this box at Michael's over by like the checkout area where it was 99 cents, kind of where they have their like dollar spot area. And then I took some brown paint mixed with water, and I'm just going to paint that onto the entire box to look like a stain. Then I picked up these wooden flowers at Dollar Tree. This took about 3 packages, I think, to complete this inside. But all I'm going to do is glue these flowers into the inside of the box. You can do any pattern that you want. I just went around like making sure they fit and there wasn't any extra spaces. This does take a little bit of hot glue because you need to press down firmly. These are really firm wooden flowers. Once we have that completed, we're going to create a stem up at the top, and again, I'm using one of my Dollar Tree little stem pieces. I'm just going to hot glue that up there at the top, and then we're going to add some raffia as a bow just to give it a little bit more oomph, and then here it is, styled in some decor.
You can run and hide, you can bury yourself beneath the stone. He told me don't pretend, 'cause everyone could use a friend sometimes. Take some good advice. Don't let your fear decide. That's how you break.
Do you guys know what time it is? It's time to hit the like button. Don't forget so YouTube knows to send my video to more people so they can be inspired just like you. Let's get back to the DIYs. For this project, we're going to be making some wooden block pumpkins, and these are just using some scrap wood that I had on hand, but I'm just going to take some burnt umber paint again, and I'm going to do kind of like dry brushing, but I'm not using a dry brushing brush. So I'm just kind of painting it on, but I'm not using like full coverage here or anything. It's just basically one coat over each side of the wooden block. Once I get that completed, I'm taking these Dollar Tree leaves and I'm going to glue those to the top for our leaves at the top of our pumpkin. Once I get those glued on, and they have 2 different textures of leaves when you pick up that package. There's like a burlappy one and then just a regular like plastic one. I used a combination of both of those in a grouping of 3. Then I took another one of our little stems and I'm going to glue that up at the top to give it a stem. Then I took some raffia just to complete it with a raffia bow, and here it is, styled in some decor.
Somebody's waiting down the line to pick up the pieces. Hey, you'll be alright. I can feel the sun and how the wind makes way across the fields.
If you love farmhouse decor, shabby chic decor, and a little bit of mixture of both of those, which I like to refer to as shabby farmhouse, then hit that subscribe button, become a part of my YouTube family, and let's get crafting together. So for this project, we're going to create a wood round pumpkin, and this I picked up at Hobby Lobby last year on clearance in their Christmas area. It's just a giant slab. You could really do a lot with this, but I've been seeing a lot of these like on Pinterest, and so all I'm going to do is take some more of my burnt umber paint, paint it in the middle, leaving a little bit of an edge, along with another one of my stems, and I'm just going to glue that up at the top. Once I have that completed, I made a quick shabby bow. I'm going to glue that here to the end or bottom of our stem, and here it is, styled in some decor.
Let me be a part of something real. Someone said it's better when you hold on to a helping hand. Sometimes we could all use a friend.
For this project, we're going to make a metal pumpkin sign. I picked this metal pumpkin sign up at the Dollar Tree Plus section, and then I'm going to use my half beads from Amazon. I will put a link down in my description box if you want to pick these up. They are definitely worth the price. I have used these on so many projects, and I still have quite a few left, so they are definitely worth it. But all we're going to do is glue the beads in the middle pieces of the pumpkin, and then I'm going to take some white folk art chalk paint and I'm going to dry brush over my entire pumpkin along with the beads. So I left them natural looking, and then I'm just dry brushing them so they're not getting a full coverage of white on any part of that. Then I took some more fabric from the Dollar Tree, and I just had some strips left over, and so I tied those strips around the center of the pumpkin and then added a couple other pieces, and here it is, styled in some decor.
Don't need to worry, somebody's waiting down the line to pick up the pieces. Hey, you'll be alright. I can feel the sun.
For this project, we're going to create a 3 pumpkin sign. So this is a pretty large sign. All I'm going to do is start with a stain, and for my stain, I'm just using brown paint and some water mixed together. I, for some reason, got the top pumpkin a little bit darker than the rest of the pumpkins, but that is okay because we're going to take some white chalk paint and we're going to dry brush over the whole thing. I like the stain color of the last 3 pumpkins. The top one was a little bit too dark for me, so I'm not sure what happened, but I've never really had that problem before. But we're just going to use the white chalk paint all around all 4 of the pumpkins, and you can't even tell at the top once we did the dry brushing. Then I took some fabric that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to tie it in knots around the center of each of the pumpkins. Then I'm going to go back in with some more fabric, and I made a shoelace bow for each one of those pieces, and I'm going to hot glue that piece on top so that the tied piece looks like the tails of the bow. Once I do that, I also add some of the fabric up at the top where the stem is, doing the same thing. And then I took some leftover jeans and I tied those into a shoelace bow, and I'm going to glue those to the center of our fabric bow. I'm going to do that for each pumpkin, and here it is, styled in some decor.
You can't turn the tide. Let the water go where it wants to go.
We are going to create a fall fence post, and in this project I'm using these fence posts that I've been using for a couple years now. I get them at Home Depot. These are cut down, and if you want to see how I originally used them, I will put that video down in my description box. But all I'm going to do is glue these fence post pieces together to create about a 4-piece length. Then I took this stencil from a stencil kit that I got on Amazon, and if you're interested in this stencil kit, I will put a link down in my description box, as well as the video that I featured all the stencils from the pack. Then once I'm done with that, I use some leftover jeans, and I'm just going to make a little shoelace bow, glue it here to the top, and here it is, styled in some decor.
I wish I had a little more time with you, baby. Time to figure out what.
For this project, we're going to create a pumpkin pillow, and I picked up these placemats at Hobby Lobby when they were 75% off in the spring area, and I'm using my same pumpkin stencil from my stencil pack. This was probably one of my most favorite pumpkins out of that whole stencil set. But I'm just going to use my sage colored folk art chalk paint, and I'm going to cover the whole pumpkin. Then I'm going to take another one of those placemats and I'm going to glue them together to make a pillow. So I'm gluing where the ruffles meet, and I'm just using that really thick area, and I'm going to go ahead and glue around about 3/4 of the placemat. Then I took some of my batting and I'm going to go into the pillow and I'm going to separate it around so that it covers the entire circle of the inside of the placemat. So once I have my desired stuffiness into my pillow, I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to secure the rest of the opening of the placemat. And then here it is, styled in some decor. For this project, we're going to create a wood pumpkin sign, and this is one of those little wood pumpkins that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and use my pumpkin chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm going to cover the entire pumpkin with my Waverly chalk paint. Then I took another piece of leftover jeans and I'm just going to glue that to the top of my pumpkin. I also had some leftover ribbon from a different project. This is sheer orange ribbon with white polka dots. I added a button into the middle of that. I get a lot of questions about where my buttons come from. I use buttons from Buttons Galore, and I will leave the link to their website down in my description box. Once I get that glued on, then here is this project styled in some decor. For this project, we're going to make a pumpkin spice sign, and we're going to start out with just a piece of wood I had that I picked up at the DI up in Utah. I'm just going to cover it with some white Waverly chalk paint, and then I picked up this window cling set at the Dollar Tree. I got these last year, but they have several sets of window clings out this year that you can go and check out. I'm just going to cut out the words that were on this one. So it says, "Home is where you smell pumpkin spice." I'm just going to go ahead and glue that on with some Mod Podge, and I just put it off to the left of the sign. So then I'm going to take this pumpkin. It's a wooden pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to remove all of the pieces, and then I'm going to start staining it. So this video, I'm going to do a lot of staining with paint and water, and this is just brown acrylic paint that I add water to, and then it works really nicely as a stain. So I'm just going to go ahead and start painting that on, and I'm going to paint it on into the middle part of this, and then on the outer part. This sign has some of the raised wooden pieces. If you can't find this sign, they have plenty of choices at the Dollar Tree for wooden pumpkins, and any of those wooden pumpkins would work great here. I'm just using some orange acrylic paint now that I added water to, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it on. This gives it a really fun watercolor look, and it just looks a lot more fun than regular paint. You don't necessarily have to do any dry brushing over it unless you choose to do that. So once I get these particular middle pieces painted, I go ahead and let the whole thing dry, and then we're ready to add a bow. So we're going to add a shabby bow up at the top, and this is just some leftover fabric and some leftover jeans that I've had in my stash. I went ahead and made a little shabby bow, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun and attach that up at the top. So I love to use all kinds of leftover materials to make these bows. I've used sheets that I've gotten at garage sales and things like sheets that we didn't want anymore. I've used fabric and jeans, so just about anything you can make that you can rip apart and get a shabby look works really well. I've really been enjoying the jeans and have been incorporating them a lot in my DIYs. If you want to see the first video that I made with jeans, I will link that down in my description box. So now we are ready to attach our pumpkin to the sign, and we're just going to use some hot glue and attach it to the right side of the pumpkin. This was super easy, and here it is, styled in some decor.
You can't turn the tide. Let the water go where it wants to go.
For this project, I picked up one of these really large pumpkin signs that they had there. The wood is really thick. We're going to cover it with some terracotta paint. Then I also picked up this thankful sign that is also really thick wood. It cost $2.99, and we're going to cover that with some gold metallic paint. Then we're going to take some white Waverly chalk paint, and we're going to dry brush around the sides, and we're going to go in the circular motion of the pumpkin. This gives it a really cool effect because we're still going in the shape of the pumpkin, but we're still getting the dry brush effect. If we went back and forth across the pumpkin, we wouldn't get quite the same dimension and shape that we're getting going down the sides. It's kind of like painting the little pieces into the pumpkin. Don't forget to go around the edges because we all know that that is the best part about dry brushing. Then I went ahead and dry brushed some more white Waverly chalk paint over my gold metallic paint on the thankful sign. Then I picked up this green color. It's more of like a teal. It's beautiful. We're going to go ahead and paint the stem that color, and now we're ready to assemble our door hanger. I'm using hot glue here. You can use wood glue or any kind of like more stable adhesive if you want to. But here it is, just glued onto our sign. It's beautiful that way if you don't want to add the shabby bow. I'm using some fabric that also came from Hobby Lobby and some leftover jeans. I love to use a piece that I'm using in the fabric bow as the tie around because then it becomes part of the bow and you can't even tell that it was made into a bow. Then we're going to take some hot glue again, and up at the stem we're going to glue on our really fun shabby bow. And here it is, styled in some decor. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this DIY. Now I made a similar topiary from a Family Dollar piece, and I will list that video down at the end screen and down in my description box, but this one is a little bit different because the pieces of the pumpkin are raised, and so you have like this groovy part that we're going to cover with our metallic paint, and then the parts that stick up are raised we're going to cover with terracotta. So once we get those painted, I also picked up these Happy Falls. These ended up being $1 and you get a package of 4 of them. 2 of them are unfinished and 2 of them are orange. So then we're going to cover our unfinished one with our green teal paint again. And then I'm going to take some raffia, which I also picked up at Hobby Lobby, and it comes in a package of 3. And then we're going to glue that up at the top of our pumpkin topiary. Now, we're going to take our letters that spelled out Happy Fall, and we're going to glue those down here at the bottom of the pumpkin topiary. If you are not the kind of person who loves to add fabric like every project that I ever do, because I absolutely love fabric bows, then that's okay, because this project can be completed at this step, and it's still absolutely beautiful. But I wanted to add a little bit extra, so I made a little shoelace bow that kind of matches our Happy Fall. I glued that in between our raffia. Here it is, styled in some decor. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this one. For this project, we're going to make a corn husk pumpkin, and we're going to take our Dollar Tree foam pumpkin, remove the stem, and then we're going to cover it with some cashew Waverly chalk paint. I took about 2 coats to cover the whole pumpkin. Then I took these corn husks that I got from Hobby Lobby. They come in a really large package. I think I spent $6 on them because they are half off right now. And at first I started to glue them from just the top, like I was going around in a circle, but then I decided there's no reason why you can't glue them from the top to the bottom. So I went ahead and started gluing both sides of them down. You're going to want to find the biggest ones out of the package. You can use the smaller ones to kind of fill in any extra spaces if you want to, but you're going to cover the entire pumpkin, and I just use hot glue on both ends of the pumpkin. Then I had got this birchwood garland, I think last year at Hobby Lobby in the Christmas section. I glued 2 pieces of that together to make my stem, and then I have some raffia. I glued that at the bottom of the stem, and then I got these cute little corns at Hobby Lobby. They come in a package of, I think, 12 for like $6. They're so cute. Anyway, I think this turned out adorable. I absolutely love it, and I think it's pretty unique looking. For this project, we're going to make a fabric accent pumpkin, and this is not one of the orange foam pumpkins, but this one I found in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and we're going to take some of my favorite Pioneer Woman fabric that I pick up at Walmart. You get the little bundles that you saw there in the whole package. I decided to use this one. I'm going to cut it up in the strips. I measured it from the top to the bottom, and then we're just going to use some hot glue, and we're going to glue those into the little, I guess you would call them spines of the pumpkin. This is a really easy project because you can just watch TV as you're gluing along. It is not hard. You're just going to measure out your fabric strips. Mine are about 1 inch, and then just glue it down. So once I have all the pieces glued down, I then decided that it needed a bow, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of my fabric, and then I used some of my burlap fabric ribbon. It is a linen ribbon. It's so pretty, and I love the quality. It's like pretty thick ribbon. I'll go ahead and leave a link to their website if you want to check out any of their other linen ribbons, but here it is, styled in some decor.
Do you guys know what time it is? It's time to hit the like button. Don't forget so YouTube knows to send my video to more people so they can be inspired just like you. Let's get back to the DIY.
So for this project, we're going to do a fabric wrap pumpkin, and I went ahead and took 2 of the bundles of fabric from the Dollar Tree. I've also wrapped a smaller of the foam pumpkins in jeans, and if you want to see that video, I'll link that down in the description box. But I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 fabric bundles. I cut them into strips. Again, they're about a 1 inch strip if you're trying to measure. I don't measure, I just kind of look, put my scissors and tear, but if you're wanting to measure, they're about 1 inch. And then I'm going to alternate between the solid blue color and the plaid blue. So the plaid blue also has the same kind of color of blue from our solid fabric, so it works really well together. And you're just going to randomly go around and glue them. I went kind of like I was sectioning a circle into fractions. You know, this would be fourths, and then I turned it, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that again. But whatever way that you choose to glue on your fabric would be fine. You just want to have strips, and you want them to be kind of intertwined together. So here it is after I've gotten it all covered with the fabric. I took another 2 pieces of my garland thing, and I glued those together to make my stem. If you can find the little stem pieces from Dollar Tree, those are my absolute favorite pumpkin stems. My store didn't have them, or I missed getting them this year, which was a bummer. But if you can find those work really well for pumpkin stems. Then to make my shabby bow, I always take just several pieces of fabric, and then I use one of the pieces of the fabric to tie it together, because then it becomes part of the bow and you can't even tell, which is my favorite part. And then we're going to go ahead and tie on just another loose piece onto the bottom of our stem to cover up any of the stem pieces that might be showing, and then glue on the front of our bow to that other piece that we had already tied on, trim off any excess, and here it is, styled in some decor. So for this project, we're going to make a blooming pumpkin, and you can make blooming pumpkins out of real flowers. I chose not to do that here. I wanted to use my solo wood flowers for this one, so I'm just taking various sizes and shapes, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them all around the top of this pumpkin. I love solo wood flowers. There's so many things that you can do with them. This really becomes a really cute shabby chic pumpkin. But you can use, they have actual plain colors as well. Dollar Tree sells some smaller of the solo wood flowers that you can actually dye, or you could use the the actual wood flowers that Dollar Tree has. I think those are really pretty as well. But we're going to just go ahead and finish up gluing our solo wood flowers around the top, and then we're going to go ahead and add a little extra to our blooming pumpkin. You could stop here if you wanted to. You don't need to add the extra that I decided to add on to it, but I think it looks really cute. So I took a couple of pieces of my excess fabric that I've been using this season. If you've been watching me, you've seen that fabric in a couple DIYs, but I cut little strips, and I'm just going to go around underneath my solo wood flowers. I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and then I'm going to take my scissors and kind of push my ribbon into that glue so it looks like it's underneath there, and I'm going to add about 4 of those around the pumpkin. Then once I have those glued onto the pumpkin, I am going to go back and take some pearls that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add those pearls to the ribbons underneath the flowers. I think this turned out so cute. I had my son vote on the project that he liked the most, and this was actually his favorite pumpkin of the video. Let me know if this is your pumpkin or if one of the other pumpkins won out for you. My favorite pumpkin of this video happens to be the corn husk one, but you guys let me know down below which one of these turned out to be your favorite.
If you love Farmhouse DIYs and Shabby Chic DIYs, then this is a channel for you. I combine them together and I make what I like to call Shabby Farmhouse. So hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video, and let's get back to the DIYs.
So for this project, we're going to make a coffee filter pumpkin, and I have to tell you guys, this is the ugliest yet cutest pumpkin I think I've ever made. I went ahead and took these coffee filters, I tore them in half. They don't have to be perfect, you can cut them if you want to, and then I just wadded them up in a bow. You could also do this with toilet paper, I decided, as I was like halfway through this pumpkin, but you're just going to do several of them, and then we're going to start hot gluing them around the pumpkin. Now, a note here, you could add the stem prior to adding your coffee filters if you wanted, and then put the coffee filters around the stem. That would be an option too. I didn't do that, and it still turned out absolutely adorable, so it's up to you. But here we are, just going to glue these all around. As I was gluing these, I just kept thinking to myself, wow, this is pretty ugly. Then, when I got to this part, it reminded me of George Washington. You guys let me know if you see a sheep, George Washington. What do you see in the face of that pumpkin slash animal? Anyway, you're going to cover the entire pumpkin with your coffee filters. Then we're going to make another shabby bow using my golden white fabric and some jeans, and I think I snuck some of my burlap fabric ribbon in there too. We're going to go ahead, glue our stem down onto our coffee filters. Then we're going to go ahead and attach our bow, and I decided this needed a little something. You could stop here if you wanted to, or if you don't have the solo wood flowers. This particular flower came from the Dollar Tree, so I am going to just go ahead and glue that right in the middle of the bow, and here it is, styled in some decor. For For this project, we're going to create a mop head pumpkin, and we're going to start out with 3 mop heads from the Dollar Tree. We're going to treat the mop pieces like macrame, and we're going to tie some macrame knots all around the pumpkin. So I'm just showing you here, you're just doing the simple loop over, you put it under, then you put the other pieces through the loop, and then you pull as tight as you possibly can. Once you have it around the frame, and I went in sections here, you can do it however you want. I think it's easier to cut it when you're doing the sections, especially when you get to the inside of the pumpkin. But we're just going to cut close to the knotted part, but not all the way to the knotted part because you don't want it to come apart. So once I get all of the pieces cut off here of my pumpkin, you then can take those pieces and reuse them. So that's where you can get away with using about 2.5 mops is what I actually ended up using. Because you're going to take the smaller piece and then do the same thing, and it's going to be a little bit shorter, but you still can tie it just like we were tying the longer ones, and then you'll just trim off any excess there, and you're going to throw that part away. So we're going to go all the way around the outside of the frame. We're then going to do the stem of the frame, and I did it exactly the same way. Folding over those macrame knots, I went up the stem, around the stem, and down the stem, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover all of the middle pieces. Definitely, you're just going to get a TV show on or a book going, and you're going to tie and cut as you go along. So here it is, styled without anything on it. I think this is so adorable. I then added a bow, but I didn't really like this bow. I was trying to add a little bit of color there, but I think I finally ended up liking the one with the sunflower the most. You guys let me know down below which of these 4 styles you liked the best. For this project, I called it a minimalistic pumpkin. I wasn't really sure what to title it. There's not much to this one. I picked up these gorgeous picks at Hobby Lobby. They have so many pretty ones out for fall, a whole row at my store. And I just took 2 of them, and I'm going to put them side by side, and I'm using some wire to attach them together. The really nice thing about using the wire here is that you can take this apart and reuse this wreath form at a later date if you wanted to, or if you just wanted to take it apart to store it, this is really easy to store. So I just tied them both to the sides of my stem. I picked up this beautiful sunflower. I loved them. They had all kinds of colors. The green one was really my favorite, but I loved how the yellow one went with these picks. And that is it. Here it is styled up on my wall.
Do you guys know what time it is? It's time to hit the like button. Don't forget so YouTube knows to send my video to more people so they can be inspired just like you. Let's get back to the DIYs.
So this project is a striped fabric pumpkin, and you guys knew you couldn't get away without a fabric DIY. But I love this fabric. I have gold and I have green. I really loved how the green one turned out. Once I get the fabric all wrapped, and you're just going to use hot glue all around the outside of the frame. You want to pull it fairly tight so that you have a good, like, you can see the wreath form but not too tight. I love how this turned out. This fabric is really stretchy, so it's not a really heavy duty fabric, and it makes it look like an heirloom pumpkin. You guys let me know down below in the comments if you think this looks like an heirloom pumpkin. I totally thought so. Then I took little strips of fabric and I just tied them like I normally do to make my shabby bows all around the stem, and then I grabbed some jeans that I had left over, made a quick bow, and here it is styled up on my wall. For this project, we're going to do a pumpkin field pumpkin, and if you've been watching me for a while, or you saw my decorating video, you know that I love blue to go in my fall decor. I'm really loving the gold and copper tones as well. So I took 2 of these pumpkin forms and I'm just using my same wire to wire them together 2 places down in the bottom, and then I did go ahead and add 2 at the top by the stem. Now this Hobby Lobby pumpkin has a huge like middle section, so basically my hands just fit through it, but I went ahead and styled this. I was able to move it around without the pumpkins falling out. Just be careful, or style it at the place that you want to have it as a centerpiece. But I just grabbed one of these pre-made bows that they had at Hobby Lobby. I loved how the colors kind of went together, and here it is, styled in some decor. For this project, we're going to do a leaf-filled pumpkin, and this is similar to the previous DIY, but I took 2 of those wreath forms. I'm using my same wire, and this time I picked up a leaf garland. Now, I love this leaf garland. It's in several places in my home. I just love the colors of it, but all I did was bunch it together and place it inside one of the wreath forms. Then I'm going to take the other wreath form, I'm going to stack it on top, and using my same wire, we're going to adhere those 2 wreath forms together. Now the beauty of this is you can take this centerpiece apart when you go to store it, and you can put it back together next year pretty quickly just using some wire. So I did go ahead and put some wire up at the top to hold the top 2 pieces together, and then I decided to add just a little bit extra here. I picked up another one of those sunflowers. I love these sunflowers, you guys. I didn't even get the green one, and the green one was my favorite. I probably need to go back and do a DIY with that green one. Anyway, I'm just going to attach it here at the top by the stem. I decided to add a wood piece to this one, and I actually did this project before I did the pumpkin one, but I don't really think this wood piece is necessary. But here it is, styled in some decor. I love it because the wire form just sort of pops out here and there, but it's a beautiful centerpiece.
Now, remember, wherever you are in your journey is a perfect place to start, and I will see you in my next video. Now go get crafting. Bye, friends.